Starting in child's pose with the knees a little bit closer to the distance of your mat. And then letting your belly come to rest in between your thighs. And starting with those arms walked a little bit more actively forward so that you can let your forehead drop down towards the floor. And so that you're creating a little bit more in the way of space on the sides of your waist. And once you settle in, adding a little bit of movement, a little gentle sway of your pelvis right to left. Maybe even letting your head nod a little bit gently side to side on the mat. And finding with that movement the way in which breath can be a part of that conversation. So it doesn't necessarily have to coordinate in a specific way where like when you're moving to one side you're breathing in, when you're moving to another side you're breathing out, but there's constantly breath. And as breath becomes a part of the conversation, turning up the volume on that. So starting to feel the ways in which you can kind of press or move the breath into parts of the body that feel a little stuck, a little sluggish. If you want, even creating a little bit of sound with your breath, what we call ujjayi breathing in the practice of yoga, so the constriction of the muscles in the back of your throat. Just a few more breaths here to explore. So that subtle movement right to left is your baseline, but if you wanted to add in some other things, maybe moving your hands right to left on the mat. And then bringing your hands back to center. Press down into your palms and start to roll forward through your spine so that you're starting to come into a tabletop pose with your shoulders stacked over your wrists, moving your knees directly underneath of your hips, and just making sure that your fingers are spread out, that there's space in between each finger, but you don't have to go super, super wide. And then you're bringing weight forward towards fingertips and finger pads. And all four corners of the hand are grounded. Our tendency is to dump weight onto the pinky edge of the hand. So root down into your pointer finger and your thumb. And then start to kind of draw a circle with the entirety of your rib cage in one direction. It doesn't matter which way you start. You might even imagine it as the action of jumping rope. So working into the mobility of the spine here. You're going to find a little bit of a toning through those lower abdominal muscles that you'll keep throughout the course of the practice. But continue to explore that kind of dropping of your rib cage down and then rolling it up towards the ceiling. You might call it a barrel roll too. Keep finding the corners of your hand. So if you start to feel like that inner edge of your hand peels up, come back to that connection. Come back to the grounding of your toenails and your shin bones onto the floor. Let's stir the pot just a few more times in this one direction, and let's add the neck into it as well. I know that can be a little disorienting, but to the best that you can, keeping your eyes open and adding your neck into those circles, those barrel rolls through your spine. And then let's take it in the opposite direction, which for most of us probably feels like the awkward side, the side that our body maybe doesn't quite naturally find. No worries about that. You're just working to kind of unstick the sticky spots as you kind of work those barrel rolls through your body. Again, still filled with breath. Stirring the pot and building heat. Notice if you're holding tension around your eyes or your mouth. Know that they don't have to be involved in the conversation here. We're letting them be silent for a little while. Remember your neck is involved. See if your neck can go in that opposing direction. And then let the whole body coast into stillness and allowing that stillness to be a softening as well. Let your eyes close. Feel the breath in pressed into the container of your body. And open your mouth and exhale, a little sigh. Now curl your toes under. Let your knees lift off of the floor so that they're at a hover. Maybe find a little bit of a scoop in the tail if you have a tendency to dump into your lower back. Squeezing your glutes and your belly and then pressing and widening so that the back of your arm lengthens and so that the space between your shoulder blades broadens. Take one more big breath in here and then exhale, press your hips up and back to downward facing dog. Starting with those heels reaching down towards the floor so you're lengthening at the backs of your calves, the backs of your hamstrings. Take a little walk in place, so bending your right knee and reaching down through your left heel. You can kind of bring the right hip over to the right. And then back to center, slowly switching right to left so that you feel this arc, this kind of drawing of a semicircle on the ceiling with the pelvis, and the feet moving right to left as if you were walking in place. Notice if you lost the tone of your belly or the connection of your pointer finger and your thumb, kind of returning to those foundational pieces that we set up our practice with. And then lift both of your heels off of the floor. Bend your knees, lift your sits bones way up towards the sky. So there's a sense of tilting the pelvis forward and creating a much more exaggerated curve in the lower back. Keep coming up high on the balls of the feet as you lift those sits bones up. One more big breath in here, and then exhale, press both of your heels down. Roll forward through your spine so that your shoulders come to stack over your wrists. If you need to, you can walk your hands forward a handprint so that there's a sense of stacking shoulders over top of wrists. Let's lower all the way onto our bellies. Elbows hug in and back. You might bring knees down to the floor for this transition. Try not to let your hips come down first. Try to let your whole body come at once. And then press down into your hands to start to lift up. I know for me, it feels much better to take the wingspan out. So fingertips turn to face forward, but you're moving your hands off of your mat, lining up your wrists underneath of your elbow, which are now bent, kind of at a 90-degree angle. Press down into the tops of the feet and lift up into that cobra pose. Remember, you don't have to lift up super high this first time. The spine's still getting warm. Drop the shoulders, softening them down the back. And then traction your hands slightly back to draw your chest forward. Take a big breath in all the way up into your chest. And then exhale, release all the way back down to your forehead. And we'll take ourselves back to where we started. Let's come to a child's pose with those knees wide. Belly and chest dropping down towards the floor. Roll forward through your spine. Stack your shoulders over your wrists again. Tabletop pose. Walk those knees back underneath of your hips. Curl the toes under and bring your knees to a hover again. Finding that sense of strength through your lower belly, so that pull back and in. Kind of around the sides of your body too. Breathing for 3. Press up and away from the floor. So feeling the back of the arm, feel like it's almost getting longer. 2. Still breathing. Last big inhale. As you exhale, finding your way back to downward facing dog again. Press the heels down towards the mat. Remember, you don't have to get the heels down. For most of us, it's just that energetic reach in that direction. If they come easily to the floor, walk your hands forward a handprint and see if you can find a little bit more of a challenge for the backs of the legs. Walk your feet forward to the top of the mat. Let's come to a forward fold at the top of the mat. Knees bend, belly comes to rest on the thighs. Relaxing through the back of the neck, you're reaching for the clasp of opposite elbows here. So you're making a frame for yourself. Tilting the pelvis even a little bit more forward, which means that your tailbone, the very base of your spine, is lifting way up towards the sky, like you were trying to shine a light straight up towards the ceiling. And then let your torso relax even more. Let that create traction in your spine. Maybe a little rock side to side, right to left. If your toes are clenched, see if you can bring the weight back towards your heels. It'll make it easier for you to keep your toes relaxed on the floor. Back to center, one more big breath in. Open mouth, exhale. Let everything in the upper half of your body drop. Let yourself be like a sack of potatoes. Release your hands down towards the floor and start to roll up. So keeping the bend in your knees, head and shoulders remain relaxed, and you're going to stack one vertebra at a time, coming all the way up to stand. Head and shoulders remain the last things to arrive at the top. And then shrugging their shoulders up towards your ears and relaxing them down towards the back as your palms turn to face forward in Tadasana in mountain pose. Sweep your arms all the way out and up, bring your palms to press above your head. Move your arm bones back and then hug those elbows in so the arms are straight. And then start to take your gaze up towards your palms. Press the hands together more actively. Reach your fingertips up more actively and let that create side body length. So from the hip to the underneath of the armpit gets long. And then from here, sweep those arms out nice and wide. Take up some space. Bend your knees and fold all the way back down with that neutral spine. Let your head and your neck relax. Slide your hands up to your shin bones. Find your half lift, looking forward. Bend your knees a little bit and let your sits bones lift up. And you'll feel just a little bit more freedom in the lower back. So you're keeping in that half lift with the hands on the shin bones. And you're looking forward as you bend your knees. Yep, one more big breath in. And then now we drape forward. Let your whole torso drape down to rest on your thighs. We'll do that again. Slide the hands up to the base of your kneecap or just below your kneecap. Lift up halfway. Little bend in your knees. Lift those sits bones up. It doesn't look a lot different, but energetically you'll feel that shape change in your body. And then release the hands all the way down to the floor. Step back to downward facing dog. Bend your knees, lift up high on the balls of the feet. Roll forward through your spine, coming into high plank pose with your shoulders over your wrists. Again, elbows hug in and back. We lower all the way down onto our bellies. Slide the hands off of the mat. Fingertips are on the floor, but the center of your palm is like a little teepee. Press down into your feet and lift up into cobra pose. Remember, neck doesn't have to do the work. So whatever it does to help you to soften through that upper body, legs are tight, core is tight, and we're pulling forward and up. Release all the way back down to your forehead. Hands can slide underneath of your shoulders. Curl the toes under, and you can either press back to child's pose, or this time press straight up to the top of a push-up. And then move those hips up and back. Come to downward facing dog with your knees bent. Lift your right leg up and back. Let's go for height for this first one. You're still closed off through the front body, so closing the ribs down towards the front of your hips. The hips lift up towards the base of your ribs. Turn your right hip to face down and lift from the back of your right thigh. Take it up a little bit higher. And then curl the knee in towards your chest and roll forward. Step that right foot all the way up in between your hands and let your back knee come all the way down. Hands will come to an interlace on your front thigh. So magnetize the inner legs. They're working hard as you press your hips forward. Press your right big toe forward and then lift up through the sides of the waist. We're going to keep the hands on the front thigh for this first time. Squeezing inner thighs towards one another, so keep that inner thigh working. So yes, there's a lot of effort in the lower body, but you're letting there be breath in that effort. Each exhale, see if you can drive those hips a little bit more forward. One more breath. Release your hands down to frame that front foot. Straighten your right leg, so pull your right hip crease back. Slide your right heel a little bit more forward. There can be a little soft bend in that right knee. In fact, I recommend it. And then again, lift those sits bones, which are the bones in the butt, way up towards the sky as you melt your torso forward over your front leg. Active flex of your toes up, especially making sure the pinky edge of your foot peels outward. So you're not letting that pinky toe stickle in. Neck and shoulders are relaxed, but the core remains tight. And you might be sliding your chest a little bit further up the leg with each breath. Last big breath in. Staying for that whole exhale, a little bit more of that pulling of the navel back towards the spine as you release over the leg. And then let's bring all four corners of that right foot to the floor. Again, we're gonna come forward to a supported warrior three. Back toes curl under, back knee lifts. Spring off of your back foot and take yourself forward. So your left leg is now lifted up to the height of the hip. And you can start with fingertips on the floor, but maybe hands eventually come to the front of that right shin, so you can lift up a little bit more. Now the weight will probably, for most of us, start to come to the outer edge of your foot. Try to keep that big toe mound glued to the mat and lift up on your right arch. Even just the thought of that, believe it or not, will actually create a little bit more activation there. Then lengthen with your heel and the crown of your head from the center of your body, from your core, reaching in both directions. One more big breath in. And then step the feet together at the top of the mat and melt forward over your legs, relaxing your belly onto your thighs, relaxing your neck. Slide the hands up to your shin bones with the bent knees, lift up halfway, create that spinal curve, and then release to your forward fold. Root down through your feet, firm up your quadriceps so the front of the leg is working as you sweep the arms all the way out and up. Bring your palms to press above your head. This time we bend the elbows into the shape of a cactus. Drive the elbows forward, the hips forward, curl open and up through your chest. So legs stay working as we open into that upper back bend. Inhale, arms reach all the way back up to frame your ears. Exhale, fold all the way back down to the floor. Find your half lift, Ardha Uttanasana pose. Exhale, plant your palms, step back to downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Roll forward through your spine, coming to high plank pose. We lower all the way down one more time. Nice and slow. Let's do it on a count of 5. Keep toning your core and your legs. 3, 2, and 1. We're all the way down on the floor. Hands slide off of the mat. Fingertips forward, curling up. Maybe we lift a little higher as the body gets warmer. Exhale, release all the way back down to your forehead. Child's pose or the top of a push-up, breath in to prepare. Exhale to make that transition. Roll those hips up and back, bend your knees, lift those hips up high, and then let's lift the left leg sky high. So you're in a 3-legged dog right now. Remember, you're using the back of the leg and you're closing off through the front of the body. Use your belly. Curl that knee in towards your chest, roll forward, step through, and let your back knee come all the way down to the floor. Press down, hug in, rise up, hands on that front shin. We're gonna stay for 5 rounds of breath. Allowing yourself to utilize all of these different actions that we've been talking about to build a more dynamic, a more challenging, a pose that tells us something. Two more breaths. Release your hands all the way down to frame your front foot. Straighten your left leg. So that left heel might need to shimmy forward slightly. Remember, that little bend in your knee is going to help you to change that pelvis shape, which I would rather you focus on more than having a straight leg. So sits bones up, rib cage drapes onto that front thigh if you can, and you're letting that happen first before your forehead comes down. Keep lifting those sits bones up and back. And then keep moving your chest forward towards your ankles. So you're working to create that length, which is also going to intensify how you feel the stretch. The inhale creates the length. The exhale allows you to relax into that length. Last breath. Bring all 4 corners of that left foot back down to the floor. Curl your back toes under so you're in a lunge with the back knee lifted. And then we're coming forward to supported warrior 3. So tiptoe your hands forward and then spring off of your back toes. Lift your right leg up to the height of your hip. When we're doing it with hands down, it's so much easier to look down the line of the body, and you can take a look at what's happening with those back toes. Make sure that they're facing down and that you're really reaching through the heel so that you're working your hamstring, your quadricep, your glute. And then if you wanted to lift up a little bit more, bring your hands to the front of that left shin. Press the hands back to reach. So you're reaching your heel, you're reaching your head, and you're tightening your lower belly. Last little adjustment, pull your left hip crease back. And then find the breath for 3. For 2, the wiggles are good. Last big inhale. And then exhale, step those feet hips width distance and release all the way down. Let go completely. Let the neck and the shoulders relax. You can even circle your neck a little bit. Coming to that half lift, hands on the shin bones, rising up halfway. And exhale, release to your forward fold. Strengthening the legs. Pressing the feet down to rise all the way to stand. Arms up, gaze up. Exhale, elbows bend. Find your cactus shape. Curling the heart forward and up. Maybe even starting to take your gaze back. But remember that we don't want to lose that connection to the strength of the lower belly and the legs. 1 more big breath in. And big breath out. Inhale, rise all the way back up again. Exhale, fold all the way back down to the floor. So next round, we move a little bit faster. Inhale, lift up. Plant your palms, either step or maybe this time you jump back to bent knee down dog. You're gonna spring back, land as light as you can. Roll forward through your spine, high plank pose. Option to take Chaturanga Dandasana this time. Elbows hug in and back, we lower halfway down. Press back to come into upward facing dog so that your wrists line up with your shoulders. And then roll over those toes, send the hips up and back, downward facing dog. Inhale, right leg goes up and back, point the toes, reach. Curl in, step through, right foot between the hands, back knee lowers down. Option to bring your hands onto the front thigh, or option to send those arms all the way up. Maybe crossing the thumbs as you press your palms together. Remember, keep scissoring that left inner thigh forward. Keep squeezing your left glute, which is going to help to level off the pelvis. One more big breath in. Exhale, hands release down to frame your front foot. Straighten your right leg. Lengthen the sides of the body as you fold forward, releasing your forehead down towards your shin. Spring forward into that right leg. All four corners of the right foot come down, supported warrior three. Hands can come to that front shin. Lift and lengthen so that your torso and your leg are a parallel line to the floor. Step the feet together at the top of the mat. Relax the belly onto the thighs. Inhale to your half lift. And exhale, release to your forward folds. Inhale to rise all the way up. Arms sweep up, gaze goes up. Find the back bend. Remember, it's upper back bend. Open, 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 open. Inhale, reach it up. Exhale, fold all the way back down. Half lift, Ardha Uttanasana. Hands down, step or jump back, your downward dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Roll forward through the spine, high plank pose. Exhale, Chaturanga Dandasana, or always the option to come all the way down. Inhale to upward facing dog. Exhale, hips back, downward facing dog. Inhale, left leg goes sky high. Exhale, step it through. Inhale, Anjaneyasana pose. 3 rounds of breath to land. Hands release down to frame your front foot. Straighten your front leg. Pulling that left hip crease back. Half split pose, Ardha Hanumanasana. Bring the weight forward. Let's find Virabhadrasana, warrior three. Spring off of those back toes, front leg straightens. Maybe hands come to that front shin bone. Find the reach in both directions from the strength of the belly. Step the feet together, fold belly to thighs. Inhale to your half lifts. And exhale, release to your forward fold. Inhale to rise all the way to stand, reach it up. Exhale, cactus the arms, back bend. Inhale, reach up. And exhale, hands to heart center. Step your feet so that they're touching this time. So interlace, or the big toes are together, your ankles are together. Unless your body just says, I can't do that, which is fine. Keep your feet hips width distance apart. We're going to come to Utkatasana pose. Drop your pelvis low and back like you were sitting in an invisible chair. Keep driving those sits bones towards the space behind you. Reach your fingertips down and then bring your arms all the way up. Maybe crossing your thumbs here, but again, if your neck starts to feel like it's doing all of the work, keep those hands separate. Give yourself a little bit more breathing room. Sink those hips low and back and then reach through your fingertips. If your hands are together, move the arm bones back so that your elbows are framing your ears, and then pull the tips of your wings down the back. Sink a little bit lower so that you start to feel it in those glutes. Look forward. Breathing for 3. Squeezing those inner thighs for 2. Last big breath in, and then exhale to fold all the way back down to the floor. So you can take a vinyasa, or you always have the option to skip, but we're going to meet in downward facing dog. So playing with whatever way you wanted to make it there. From downward facing dog, inhale, take that right leg up and back. Bend your right knee up towards the sky so that knee is lifted, and you're still pulling your left hip crease back. So you're lifting that right knee without dumping into the left side of the pelvis. Activate your right foot and lift that right knee up a little bit higher. Keep driving the sides of the waist back. And then circle that right knee forward a few times. Big wide sweep. Last circle, take up some space and then lift that right knee way up towards the ceiling again. Really activate that reach. Then curl the knee in towards the nose, roll forward, step your right foot all the way up in between your hands. Warrior one, back foot spins out, heel comes to the ground, and an arm sweep all the way up to frame your ears. So you're bending into your front knee, and you're tractioning those inner thighs towards one another as you press your right big toe towards the front of the mat. Now bring your hands behind you and reach for the clasp of opposite elbows here. So instead of interlacing fingers, you're reaching for the clasp of opposite elbows. I want you to move your elbows away from the back and reach your elbows down towards the floor as you open up through your chest. So you should feel a broadening across the front of your chest. It's almost like you were using your elbows to anchor down into your legs a little bit more. From here, take your right arm up, place it in between the shoulders. Maybe your hands clasp behind the back, and maybe they don't. Don't force it if it's not there. If you can't quite get the bind, you might use your left hand on the top of your right elbow to create a little bit more press down. So you're opening up that right tricep. Chest stays lifted. If you feel like your arm is behind your head, move your arm to the side, give it its own lane. We're gonna come to warrior three from here. So let's come up onto the ball of the back foot. Maybe it takes a few steps in, or maybe you're just able to glide forward and take that left leg straight back behind you. Keep that right elbow driving forward, left elbow driving back. Reach in both directions. Take one more big breath in, keep lengthening, and then take a giant step back to your warrior one again. Nice work. You're gonna take your arms up above the head. Hands are coming in between your shoulders now. So both elbows are lifting up towards the sky. Elbows are hugging in towards the sides of the head. We don't want them wide. We want to keep them together. Again, it's opening up those triceps. And then reach the arms all the way back up to frame the ears. Straighten your front leg, and we're gonna take it to ice skater pose at the back of the mat. So coming up onto your right heel, front heel, back knee bends, hips are gonna spin towards the long edge of your mat, and you're dropping low and back. So I want you to feel that spring in both of your legs, that squeeze in towards center. Tailbone is going way back behind you as your chest is going forward. Belly stays toned, and you should feel this a lot in your glutes. We're gonna bring this to a balancing Ardha Chandrasana. So all four corners of your right foot come to the floor. Spring forward, you're gonna land your right fingers in front of your right toes, and then take that left leg straight back behind you. Pull your right hip crease back, press down into your right big toe, firm up your right quadricep. And then once you feel pretty strong in that standing leg, start to pivot your chest and your hips to face the long edge of your mat. Flex your left foot and take your gaze up towards your extended left palm. You might even be able to look down the line of your body. Make sure you can see your left toes in your field of vision. Maybe the gaze even starts to go up towards your extended hands. Don't worry if you lose your balance, just start over, recalibrate, try again. We're gonna step back to warrior two, so start to bend into your front knee. Before you lift your right hand up, lower your left foot down, and once the left foot comes to the floor, then your right hand comes up, and then you're in your warrior two. Back foot is at kind of not quite a 90-degree angle, but not quite 45, it's somewhere in between. Your foot, your knee, and your hip are all on the same line, which for some of us is gonna mean we're not trying to widen the pelvis to face the long edge of the mat. It's okay if your pelvis doesn't do that. Take that steady gaze over your front middle finger. Sink a little bit deeper into your front thigh and squeeze your right glute. Let's revolve. Let your back hand release onto the back thigh. Right hand comes to the back of the head, and you're gonna lift that right elbow way up towards the ceiling. Take it way, way, way up so you feel that right side body really opening. Keep bending into your right knee and pulling that right glute underneath of you. As you rise up, bring your right elbow down towards the right thigh and sweep the left arm up and over your ear. So it's almost like side angle pose, but you're keeping your hands behind your head. Bring both hands to the back of your head and lift all the way back up to center. So it's like you were laying in a hammock and your hands are cradling the back of your skull.
Turn the toes to face the long edge of your mat. So both feet are facing straight out in front of you in a wide-legged forward fold stance. Take those elbows way up towards the sky, and then exhale, fold all the way down to the floor.
Relax through the back of your neck. Keep your hands at the back of your head and take a little sway side to side. See if you can lengthen the back of your neck a little bit. Now a little soft bend in your knees. Hug your inner thighs towards one another. Magnetize the legs here. We're going to draw a circle towards the back of the mat now. So let your whole torso, like starting with your head, so your head is leading you, is going to swing towards your left foot. And you're going to circle all the way back up to stand. So you should feel this in your outer abs a lot. Turn your right toes to face forward and bend into your right knee again. Steady gaze over your right middle finger. Circle your hands down to frame your right foot on the mat and take your right leg straight back behind you. And you can either go straight to downward dog or you might roll forward and take a one or a two-legged chaturanga, your option. Side number 2. Inhale, left leg goes up and back. Left knee bends, left hip opens towards the sky, but keep reaching your right heel down and pull your right hip crease back. So keep that right side body long. Activate your left foot as you circle your left knee forward. So the only thing that is moving is your left leg in the hip socket. The rest of the pelvis is staying put. One last time, lift that left knee way up towards the sky. Really, really reach it. And then curl that knee in towards your nose, roll forward, step your left foot through for warrior 1. Back foot spins to the ground. Front knee bends at that 90-degree angle. And then especially that right inner thigh scissors forward to help level off your pelvis. Bend into that front knee a little bit more. Bring your hands behind your back. See if you can find the opposite elbow clasp. And really work to see if you can bring the center of your palm into like a mitt around the outside of the opposite elbow. Pull those elbows down. And there's a tendency to kind of close off through the chest. See if you can broaden across your collarbones without collapsing your shoulder blades together too much. Lift the center of the chest and the gaze. You should feel a really nice stretch across the collarbones, maybe even around your sternum. Take the left hand up and around. Place it in between your shoulder blades. And then maybe your right hand climbs all the way up and you're able to bind. If you're not, maybe that right hand comes to the top of that left elbow and helps encourage it down. Remember, even though we're working on some fancy arm work, I want you to make sure that you're still focusing on the foundation of your legs. Your feet are rooting down. Your thighs are hugging in. Side body is lengthening. You're lifting your gaze. Keep the bind if you can as you start to come forward for warrior 3. No rush to get there. Standing legs straight. Left elbow is reaching straight out in front of you, almost like an arrow. Turn your right hip to face down. Pull your left hip crease back. Reach. Let there be breath. If you lose it like I just did, start over. Take that giant step back, so slow and controlled. You're bending your left knee, gliding your right foot back, landing back in your warrior 1. Release the arms up above your head now. So you've got that opposite elbow frame above your head rather than behind your back. Reaching for opposite elbows. Elbows lift up, chest lifts up, gaze lifts up. Then take those hands, palms together. One more big breath in with those arm bones back. Straighten your front leg, come up onto your front heel. Start to pivot your hips and your back toes for your ice skater pose. So hips are going back. And this one's often we think of as a transition, but I want you to really feel it in your left inner thigh. And I want you to feel it in those glutes. So the more you send the pelvis back, squeezing your glutes, in a rotation of your thighs, the more the legs are going to be working. Power up your belly, look forward. Maybe get just a little bit lower. Remember, we're headed towards that balancing Ardha Chandrasana. So bending into your left knee and then springing off of your back toes. Landing your left fingers. Let me get back in the frame a little bit better. And then once you've landed, find your footing. Press that left big toe down. Fire up your left quadricep.
Pull your left hip crease back so that left side body gets long. And then once you feel really, really stable, start to turn so that your chest and your hips are facing the side of the room. Maybe even starting to turn your gaze all the way up. Steady your breath. Remember, your jaw isn't going to help you from losing your balance. We're stepping back to warrior two. Don't lift those left fingertips yet. Bend your left knee, slide your right toes to the floor, and then lift your arms up. So that way it's not momentum carrying you and you can land a little bit easier. Steady gaze over your front middle finger. Get a little lower. Remember that your glutes can really support you. The inner thighs can really support you, that you're not just kind of collapsing into the connective tissues of the body. Bring your left hand to the back of your head. Right hand drops down, left elbow lifts way up towards the sky. So keep sliding your right hand down the back of the leg. Lean the head back into the support of the hand and lift that left elbow way up. And then bring your left elbow down to the top of your left thigh, but keep your hand at the back of your head as you send your right arm up and over your ear. So it's a little bit like side angle pose. Keep pulling that left hip crease back. Bring both hands to the back of your head, so you're feeling those outer abs really working for you as you come all the way back to center. Straighten your front leg, pivot your left toes in. Lift those elbows way up towards the sky. Lean the head back into the support of your hands, and then exhale, fold forward. And you can really relax the crown of the head down. And then let your thumbs kind of traction the back of your cervical spine by pulling at your occipital ridge. And you can take a little gentle sway side to side. This time we're going to take that circle towards the back of the mat. So taking your head towards your right foot and then drawing that circle all the way back up to stand. Take those arms back out over your legs. Turn your left toes forward. Find warrior two again. Cartwheel your hands down to frame your front foot. Option to take yourself through Vinyasa or finding some variation of rest, whether it's downward facing dog, child's pose. Looking forward to the top of the mat, step, hop, or jump those feet to meet your hands, and find your half lift. Exhale, release to your forward fold, feet together. Inhale, Utkatasana pose, hips sink low and back. Reach the arms all the way up to finger ears, and then rise all the way to stand. Find the back bend, hips forward, curl open through that upper back. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, hands to heart center. So we'll go through that same sequence again. This time we'll make it flow. Let's find Utkatasana pose. Sink it back. Reach it up. Exhale, forward fold. Downward dog or Vinyasa. We'll meet in downward dog, however you want to get there. From downward facing dog, inhale, right leg goes up and back, right knee bends, right hip opens. Staying put here or flipping your dog, find wild thing pose. Turning the hips to face the ceiling. Really make sure to press out of that bottom shoulder joint as you reach up and over. Bring it all the way back around again. Right leg goes sky high. Step the right foot all the way through. Warrior one pose, back foot spins out. Arms reach all the way up. Hands come behind your back. Find that opposite elbow grab. Take those elbows back to broaden your collarbones. And then bring your right hand all the way in between your shoulders, maybe finding that bind. Bring it forward to warrior three. We're not releasing the hands. So keep that right elbow driving forward. Take your left leg straight back behind you. Pull your right hip crease back, lengthen in both directions. Take that giant step back, land back in your warrior one. This time arms come up above your head. Find the clasp of opposite elbows above you. Then bring your hands together. Thumbs cross, gaze goes up. Ice skater pose, come up onto your front heel. Pivot your hips, bend your back knee. We're coming forward to our balancing Ardha Chandrasana. So springing off of those back toes and taking it all the way forward. We're going to hold for a moment here so that you can find your balance. Keep firming up that standing leg. You don't want to collapse into the joint of the hip. Take a giant step back. Find warrior two. Arms reach towards the front and the back of the mat. Right hand to the back of the head. Left hand slides down the back of the thigh. Open, open, open through that right side body. Bring the right elbow down to the top of your right thigh. Left arm comes up and over your ear. Hands come to the back of the head. Bring it all the way back up to center. And let's pivot those right toes to face forward. Elbows lift way up towards the sky. Lift your chest. Exhale, long spine to fold all the way down. Start to make that circle towards the left foot. So you're circling towards the back of the mat with your head. Rise all the way back up to stand. Turning your right toes to face forward, warrior two. Circle your hands down to frame your front foot. Step back, vinyasa or downward facing dog. Taking a moment to land in between sides. Catch your breath. Steady yourself. Side number two. Inhale, left leg goes up, left knee bends, staying put, or right toes spin to face the back of the mat. Slow and controlled to bring it all the way up and over. Remember to press out of the bottom arm as you reach. And it's like coming into a one-armed version of wheel pose. So the chest is curling open and up as you take your gaze towards that extended left hand. Bring it back around again, left hand to the floor, left leg lifts up. Step the left foot all the way through, warrior one. Arms come behind the back. Find the opposite elbow clasp. Keep trying to level off those hips, so don't lose it even though we're moving faster. Elbows down, chest up. Left hand comes in between the shoulders. Right hand comes around, maybe the hands clasp. The warmer we get, normally the more we can find these binds. Bring it forward to your warrior three. Right leg straight back behind you. Lengthening that left hip crease back so you're not collapsing into your left hip joint. Make yourself use all the muscles. Take a giant step back. Land back in your warrior one. Arms come up above the head. Find that opposite elbow clasp there. Curling open, lifting elbows up, and then bring your palms to cross, palms together, thumbs to cross. Straighten your front leg. Pivot your hips and your back toes, and then start to take the arms back. We're taking it to our balancing Ardha Chandrasana. Look forward, spring forward, land that hand, and then extend into the balance. Take your time. See if you can find the full extension. We'll stay here for a hot minute for you. Take a giant step back, land in warrior two. Left hand to the back of the head, right hand drapes down the back of the thigh, lift that elbow way up. Open the side of the waist. Left elbow comes to the top of the left thigh. Right arm comes up and over the ear. Stretch out the right side of the body. Both hands to the back of the head, bring it back to center, and then straighten your front leg. Pivot your toes. Elbows lift up towards the sky. Long back, inner rotation of your thighs as you bring it all the way down. Relax the back of the neck, let your head be heavy. Start to take it towards the back of the mat, coming all the way up to stand. So especially those right obliques are working. Arms out over your legs, left toes turn to face forward. Cartwheel your hands down to frame your front foot. Vinyasa or downward facing dog. Beautiful. From downward facing dog, bring your knees all the way down to the floor. Let your belly rest in between your thighs. Let your forehead come down so you're coming into a child's pose. Just take a moment to rest in child's pose. Where we started, we return and you just get a sense of your body in space, the changes in warmth and sensitivity. You know, we do all of this stuff because our body is an instrument, and of course we want to keep our instrument tuned, but part of keeping our instrument tuned isn't just about the way it looks physically, it's about our sensitivity, our understanding, and our connection to it. A few more slow, deep breaths. Inhale through your nose. Really fill up this time. Hold your breath for a moment. Pause. And then open your mouth and exhale. Inhale to roll forward through your spine so that your shoulders stack over your wrists. And one more time, let's come to downward facing dog. Take your right leg up and back. And then curl the knee in towards your chest. We're going to come to pigeon pose. So you're going to slide your right ankle behind your left wrist. Your right knee behind your right wrist. The leg may or may not be parallel to the top of the mat. If your leg doesn't do that, point your toes and make more of a diagonal line. Let your back knee lower to the floor. And even if you know this pose and you're like, I just want to go there, we're going to find a little bit more engagement first. So walk your hands back. If you have blocks, this is a good spot to use blocks for. You don't necessarily need them, but it gives you just a little extra arm length. So those blocks might be right next to your hips. And like we were doing in our cobra pose earlier in the practice, you're kind of pressing down to curl open and up through the chest. Now, once we focused on that, that left hip probably is pulling back. I want you to scissor the left inner thigh forward, scissor the left glute forward, and then side body gets long and you're curling open. Keep squeezing the inner thighs towards one another. Now, you might be staying here, or you might see if you can bring your hands in front of the heart or extend those arms all the way up. Keep scissoring the left inner thigh forward. Breathing for 4. For 3, give your right hip its own lane. 2, and 1. Exhale, hands release back down onto your blocks, and you're gonna walk those arms forward. And here's where you get permission to relax those muscles. So we've done a lot of work. Tammy, if you wanted to hang out for a hot minute, I saw you just went to get blocks. We're doing a little bit of a back bend first. So you're squeezing inner thighs together and you're curling open. Yeah. We're gonna be in pigeon for a hot minute, so don't feel like you're getting cheated out of pigeon. When you take about 3 breaths, you're gonna make your way down into a pigeon pose with your forearms or maybe your forehead even coming all the way down to the floor. That's beautiful, Tammy. And when you come down, this can be a dessert kind of variation of the pose. So you can relax the muscles. We'll treat it like a yin posture. Slowing down your breath. And then spending just a little bit more of your attention on your exhale. So we're breathing in on a count of 3, 2, 1. Exhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale, 3. Exhale, 4. Two more breaths just like that. You can count for yourself. Start to bring the hands back towards your legs. So you're kind of slowly rolling yourself back into a seat. There might be some tingling as we come back into downward facing dog. That's pretty normal. So giving yourself a moment to kind of pedal feet out in place in your downward dog, or you can shake out the right leg. Another chance to explore movement. Sometimes it's nice to cleanse the palate in between sides with a vinyasa. So if you wanted to roll forward and take it from chaturanga to your Urdhva Mukha Svanasana, downward dog, or rather upward dog, and then Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward dog, you can. All right, let's take side number 2. So left leg goes up towards the sky, left knee bends and opens, just for a breath. And then curl the left knee in towards your chest and step that left foot so you're bringing the left ankle behind your opposite wrist. So left ankle behind right wrist, left knee behind left wrist. Grab those blocks or your fingertips. And remember, the closer you can get to framing, I don't know what just happened here. Can you guys still see me? Okay, good. It said I got signed out for some reason. Just wanted to make sure. Okay, So you're coming into that pigeon pose, but you're hugging in, especially that right inner thigh scissors forward, so that you're working in the general direction of leveling off your pelvis. And then you're pressing down to really lift up. So you should get a really, really juicy stretch on that back psoas muscle, which is the muscle that attaches the lower back to the leg. It's really the only muscle that does that, so it gets a lot of overuse. Option to stay here if this just feels really nice to stretch it out. If you wanted to build towards a little bit more in the way of strength, starting to reach those arms up, maybe interlacing all but your forefinger, crossing your thumbs. Remember that right thigh is going to want to move back. Keep scissoring it forward. And then open, open, open through the upper back. Breathing for 3. Hardest part is breathing in this one. For 2. Last round of breath. And then exhale, release the hands all the way back down onto the blocks. And then start to slide those arms forward so that we can get into more of a concentration on that left IT band and left piriformis, which are, first and foremost, the IT band, not a muscle, actually a band of tissue that for a lot of us, because we tend to pronate, tend to put more effort on the outer edges of the feet, that band of tissue just gets very sinewy. Remember that you can really just relax the body here. Giving that exhale just a little bit more time. If you wanted to come back to the count, it's a 3 count to breathe in. And a 4 count to breathe out. Maybe noticing the pause between the exhale and the breath in, that moment where neither is happening. Dropping into that stillness. And then walk your hands back towards your legs. Start to roll yourself back up into a seated position and take that leg all the way up and back again. So you're going to take your left leg sky high and shake it out or pedal it out. Give it just a little bit of attention. Maybe last vinyasa if you want it. This is your last chance. We're kind of moving our way towards stillness. Otherwise, we're meeting in downward dog, and we're going to either step or jump through coming down onto the sits bones. So you're making your way forward and coming down onto your butts. Bringing the soles of the feet to the floor. Nice, Jenny. And coming all the way down onto your back. So you're going to take your time on that ride down. And once you've arrived all the way on your back, walking your feet in, I think everybody grabs a block. So we're going to do just a short restorative posture with the legs in the air, unless anyone's absolutely dying to go into shoulder stand. If shoulder stand is your jimmy jam and that's where you wanted to head right now, I would recommend rolling your mat up and placing it just at the tops of your shoulders so that your neck isn't actually on the mat. And that's just going to give your neck a little bit more space. It protects your cervical spine as the legs go up. Otherwise, we're coming into this more restorative variation of the pose. You're letting your ankles loosen. You might extend your arms up as well, but let your wrists loosen. So you're just kind of dangling your feet and your hands in the air. And then we're going to find just a little bit of moving meditation. So closing your eyes, I want you to breathe in and make fists with your hands and bend your knees. They're not heavy fists, it's just kind of a pulse. So you're going to feel, as you exhale, the hands open and the legs extend back up again. And then as you inhale, you're releasing your knees into a bend and releasing your hands into a fist. So you're feeling this sense of opening and closing the body really, really gently in continuity with your breath.
This pulse actually always feels really, really good to me. It's like almost like an automatic nervous system reset. I hope it does the same for you. Keep your mind focusing on the movement of your body and the sensations that arise as you move. If you start to feel a little shaky in your legs, that's pretty normal. See if you can just keep relaxing into whatever arrives. One last time, bend the knees, making your hands into those gentle fists. And then extending the legs and opening the hands back up. Keep the block where it is. Just for a moment, we're going to extend the legs out. So reaching yourself forward with your heels on the floor, maybe pointing your toes and lengthening your arms up and over your head. So there's a sense of lengthening along the sides of the waist. Maybe even reaching for the clasp of opposite elbows. This should feel like one more stretch for that psoas muscle, that connector, maybe even a little bit in the groin. Not at the expense of the lower back though, so if anybody's feeling pain, you might take the block out from underneath of you and just find a reach. And then if you'd like, you can keep the block underneath of you for your Shavasana. For those of us who spend a lot of time sitting, oftentimes that psoas muscle can get really, really tight and really weak. So this can be a nice way to remain for a few more minutes. Otherwise, you're sliding that block out from underneath of you and just letting your arms come to rest next to your sides. Taking a long, slow breath in, really let yourself feel an ease in this filling up. Like the boundaries of your body were dissipating. And then as you open your mouth and exhale, you were just melding down into connection with the mat or the earth underneath of you. Breath in to open yourself up to become permeable, and breath out to release anything that you rub up against that isn't you. You can feel free to remain on your back for the last few minutes of the practice, or you might come to a comfortable seat just for a short, very, very short, guided bit of breath work. Just a little, it's called Kumbhaka and Rechaka, which is breath retention, and then breath out, like retaining the body empty. So coming into a comfortable seated position. If you had a block that you grabbed from nearby, you might grab that to sit on. And sitting towards the front of it so that we can create that nice curvature in the spine, that your tailbone is free, it's wagging back behind you, that it's not scooped underneath. So you should feel that easeful sense of rising up through the spine. And you can do this with the eyes closed. We're going to take a breath in on a count of 4. We're going to pause with the breath in the body for a count of 4. And then you're breathing out for a count of 4 to start, okay? So let's breathe in together for 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold for 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale 4,
3, 2, 1. Pause with the breath out of your body for 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold the breath. Find your pelvic floor, your lower belly, and tuck your chin to your chest. So pausing with the breath out. 3, 2, 1. Exhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold the breath out. Same thing with your bandhas. Pelvic floor, lower belly, chin tucks to chest. Pause. Holding the breath out. Breath in, 4, 3, 2, 1. Last round. Pause with the breath out. Find your locks, retaining your prana, life force in the body. Exhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. Last one. Pausing with the breath out. This time, find your bandhas. Really pull that belly button back, a little rounding through your upper back, and you're going to hold the breath out for as long as you can without feeling like you're going to die. I want this to be just that moment where it starts to feel uncomfortable, and then allow the breath in. Allow the chin to lift. And then once that chin lifts, just taking a moment to feel into the space of your body. So if you can, take the intellect out of it and see if you can just drop your brain down into your body and notice and feel what's happening, what's going on, what's there. And then bring your palms together in front of your chest and lift your thumb knuckles up to the space between your brows, just very gently folding forward over your mat. That offering up of your practice for the betterment of all beings. Thank you guys so much for practicing with me tonight. If you have a question, let me know.